The Mercedes GLA, like many of its competitors, is a very advanced model in terms of electronics. There are 80 controllers here alone. Therefore, you should stay away from flooded cars and those that were hastily repaired in garages in the cheapest way. Carelessness with electronics can take its toll very quickly, and controllers are not cheap. Problems with them occur even in well-maintained cars, but, fortunately, they are relatively rare. The owners mentioned the failure of the folding drive of the exterior mirrors and the multimedia system controller. A typical problem, known from the regular A-Class, is a faulty radar system for detecting vehicles in the dead spot. It is also responsible for emergency braking when an obstacle appears. There are 3 radars, and any of them can fail. GLA cannot be serviced in any workshop, as special software is required. Even something as simple as changing brake pads requires adaptation, which is impossible without the Mercedes service program. This greatly increases the cost of operation. The most successful, based on possible problems, are gasoline engines. There were 2 of them used on the GLA, 1.6T and 2.0T. The first one can have a power of 122 horsepower, GLA 180, or 156 horsepower, GLA 200. The 2-liter was offered in the following versions: 184 horsepower, GLA 224 Matic, 211 horsepower, GLA 250 FWD and 4 Matic. Under the hood of the most powerful GLA 45 AMG variants is the M133 twin-scroll engine with 360 or 381 horsepower, always with all-wheel drive. Diesel cars require more maintenance because they are more complex in nature, meaning they may be more expensive to repair in the future. I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with, and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro. Unlike the regular A-Class, the Mercedes GLA does not have a 1.8 diesel engine, it has 1.5 and 2.1 turbo diesels. The first is a Renault unit, which is essentially a French K9K engine. In the GLA it has 109 horsepower, designation 180D, front-wheel drive and 2 transmissions to choose from, manual transmission and DCT. Apparently, there are no problems with the bearings, but for preventive purposes they can be replaced when updating the timing belt. It should be added that replacing the liners will not require large expenses, since the parts are quite cheap, and any workshop specializing in Renault cars can do this. With the 2.1 diesel, 136 horsepower in 200D and 170 horsepower in 220D, the situation is somewhat more complicated. This is a Mercedes design engine with a timing chain on the gearbox side. There would be nothing special about this if the timing belt had been running for more than 200,000 kilometers. Unfortunately, the chain can stretch out sooner, and replacement is expensive. Matic all-wheel drive was only available in selected versions: GLA 220, GLA 250, GLA 45 AMG, GLA 200D and 220D. It is worth noting that all all-wheel drive variants were supplied exclusively with a DCT robotic gearbox. Front-wheel drive could have a 6-speed manual transmission or a DCT dual-clutch transmission. The AMG versions featured a reinforced dual-clutch transmission. An automated DCT transmission could cause costly problems down the road. After about 180 to 200,000 kilometers, the clutch may wear out and the mechatronics may break. Mercedes GLA is a successful crossover without any particular drawbacks. Unfortunately, this is not a cheap car in terms of maintenance and possible repairs. Its weak points are electronics, especially after accidents, and the 2.1 turbo diesel with high mileage. Only well-maintained options with a gasoline engine and front-wheel drive should be considered. All-wheel drive unjustifiably increases the cost of this model, and the handling of this version is not much better.